Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven,
My name is Jerry.
and it is our first draft profile of 2022.
Yes, at least
Draft
there's some
season is here.
positive vibes, just trying to make things happen for the Carolina Panthers. We
Yeah.
started out on a Twitter poll and Evan Neal won it. I'm kind of not surprised by this. Evan Neal is the premier offensive tackle in this, draft. Offensive tackle out of Alabama, junior. But before we get started with that, we have some news to go over. Ben McAdoo officially signed his contract to become the Panthers offensive coordinators. I think that solidifies that Matt Rhule's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, we did our Ben McAdoo is being hired podcast earlier, or I guess last week. So check that out if you haven't. We go over all of our thoughts on Ben McAdoo. But yeah, I mean, now he's officially signed. He's here. Matt Rhule is here. We can kind of forget, I think, about the Michigan thing and any other jobs Matt Rhule has been linked to. I really, at this point, it would be shocking if he left.
It would be career suicide because no other coaches would want to sign with him if he literally brings in a guy, you sign him this year, and then you dip out before you even play a game.
Now, it's not unheard of, right? Like Josh McDaniels did something very similar with the Colts a few years back. He had, talked to coaches. I don't think he had hired any yet.
I don't either, but
But I think he kind of put his staff together. But yeah, this would be different. I mean, this would be a guy who's here. He's hiring coaches. Like I really don't think anyone should hold out any hope. And I know there are a lot of you out there holding out hope, but Matt Rhule, he's here for this year, and we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, I was holding out hope myself, and then, like I said, once this happened, you're just like, all right, it's done. It's nowhere, nowhere else going on.
It's like 99.9% at this point. I mean, is it impossible that he leaves? Nothing is impossible, but given everything that we've heard up to this point and now this move, it's just, I mean, he's here. He's here.
Yeah.
Another guy that's here, Jerry, Samir Suleiman, Panthers salary cap manager, has been promoted to vice president of football operations. He was instrumental in getting the cap situation kind of in a good spot, I guess, from the Gettleman and Hurney years where they put everything in terrible spots. He was very instrumental in getting Hassan Reddick here last year. So I like that. He's been getting some people have been sniffing around with him about their GM job. So this is a good move to kind of keep him in the building.
I absolutely agree. He was one of our GM candidates here before Fitterer. I really like this move. You give him a pay bump. You give him a vice president. Try to keep him in the building. I'm not sure how well he knows the football aspects of it, but he is a cat guru. It's nice to have one of those guys on the line here, especially coming up with a lot of guys going to free agency and us needing a lot of positions too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure he's a football guy. I mean, you don't make it to where he is without, knowing football. I mean, but he's a good cap wizard, and honestly, that's something that we're going to need. Another little piece of news is not on our sheet here, Jerry, is Sean Payton is no longer the Saints head coach.
Yep.
Tom Brady is contemplating, it seems, pretty heavily retiring, or at least not being with the Bucs next year. I mean, this is wide open. Panthers draft a couple of these guys that we're going to be talking about here over the next several months, and put together some nice free agents, then this division could be for the taking.
It is, and it absolutely is. We have to figure out the offensive line, the quarterback situation, and like you said, we have a lot of free agents, so we have to deal with that too. And then Matt Rhule has to grow as a coach. I mean, because he regressed last year, He didn't improve on the issues of third down. He didn't improve on the penalties. You know, the team looks sloppy. He needs to tighten it up. But there is a possibility that you could put a stamp on it because this team has been rebuilding before those other two teams. And the Saints are way over the cap, like $40 million currently over the cap. So
Sean Payton put them in cap hell and left. So, you know, I think he may have seen the writing on the wall. Now, they were in the same position last year, and they seemed to be able to stitch it together and make it work and, you know, almost made the playoffs. But they're in just as bad a situation, if not worse, this season. And they've got some holes to fill there as well. So, and they've got some free agents of their own that are going to be pretty highly coveted. So, it'll be interesting. But yeah, I mean, you know, starting these draft profiles is kind of Jerry and I are washing our hands of the 2021 season. We're going to look to the future. You know, the draft is going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And Jerry, before we get into Evan Neal, our profilee here, I just want to ask you, what do you think the chances are that the Panthers actually pick 6th? Put a percentage on it.
I would say I am sitting at 50% because Fitterer likes to drop back. I think he sees the value in the 6th pick. But last year he sat at 8 and took J.C. Horn, who wouldn't have passed Dallas because that's who they had their eye on. But I do believe that you could have probably dropped back a little bit and, you know, grabbed him there or before there. So it was kind of a, you know, they jumped up and took him. And then, you know, Denver was super excited to grab Patrick Surtain right behind us because they thought he was coming to us.
Excellent season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say like 25%. I really think the Panthers are going to trade back at least once in the first round because I think they have to. We have so many holes to fill on this team, and with only 4 draft picks or something, only 1 draft pick in the top 103 picks or something. I think it's irresponsible not to trade back. So with that being said, Jerry and I have sort of thought of that. And through this process of going through these draft profiles, we're going to be looking at top 10 guys. We're going to be looking at some guys in the teens, and we might even look at some guys in the 20s as well, just to sort of cover our bases. But I know we're going to be focusing on, you know, offensive line. We're going to look at the quarterbacks. What else? There's a safety that's really high up there.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't mind talking about.
Yeah, we have him on the list. I currently have a list of 16 players. So there's a couple linebackers on there, but it's mostly offensive linemen because this is a very offensive lineman-rich draft. And that is another reason why they can fall back because, you know, we're talking about Evan Neal, but there's also 2 other guys that are projected top 10 pick offensive tackles. I mean, that is something.
And there's another couple. Yeah, I mean, there's another couple. There's a center who's really high up there. There's another offensive tackle who's, you know, flirting with the 20s. So I mean, there's going to be guys that are going to be available all over the first round that are going to be starting offensive linemen in the league. And when we say drop back, we don't necessarily mean that they're going to drop all the way back to 25 or something. They could drop from 6th to 10th and still pick up a 2nd and 3rd round pick or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, they could easily do that. So,
I mean, it depends. If someone drops, like the safety out of Notre Dame, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He is on our list, but I don't have that. And then you could take an offensive lineman and maybe in that 2nd round, maybe try to grab that quarterback, that 2nd round quarterback, and we're going over a lot of these quarterbacks that will probably get picked in the 2nd round too, because, hey, Sam Darnold's not the guy.
Yeah, he may be the guy in 2022, but he's definitely not the guy long term. And the Panthers do need to start thinking about the future. And I'm sure they are. It would be stupid for them not to be.
And Ben McAdoo came out in public before the draft, before Sam Darnold was drafted, and said he didn't like him, that he didn't like his release and stuff like that. So I don't view Ben McAdoo jumping on the Sam Darnold bandwagon of saying he's a great player. He may think he can fix him. That's a different story, but
I'm going to give you a preview of about 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
Ben McAdoo press conference. Now that I've got to look at Sam Darnold, he's got all the tools. He just needs a little tweaking here and there. And I really think that he could be the guy. Okay.
Said every coach
that's what
in the
you're
NFL
hear.
so far.
Yeah.
With
Right.
Sam Darnold. And
Exactly.
those tweakings have not been coming to fruition.
They have not tweaked. He has not tweaked enough. He needs to tweak a lot more. All right, Jerry, let's get into Evan Neal. Offensive tackle out of Alabama.
All right. Evan Neal was a 5-star recruit out of IMG Academy and one of the top recruits coming out of Florida. And that's always good. After being heavily recruited by multiple big names, he opted to go for Nick Saban at Alabama. Shocking.
Good choice.
There he would start 13 games his freshman season at the left guard position and gave up 0 sacks. In his sophomore year, he moved to right tackle and finally made the move to left tackle last year. In his 3 years at Alabama, he only gave up 4 sacks. With his ability to play multiple positions and having long arms, Rhule would probably love to draft this guy as another guard. I'm joking. He has long arms. He'll be fine. He could play tackle because he has long arms.
Right, which is really the only thing you need.
Yeah.
If you ask Matt Rhule, you just need long arms. Nothing else really matters. If you got short arms, do not apply.
Yeah, Rashawn Slater, Brady Christensen.
Rashawn Slater, trash. Absolute trash. Yeah. Those guys, they have no guards. Those guys are guards through and through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously, we are kidding. Rashawn Slater's one of the best young tackles in the league, and we think Brady Christensen's all right as well. So
yeah,
would like to see more of him.
Yeah. With that being said, Evan Neal is still probably the top tackle in our draft board right now, and only one.
Yeah. And we'll talk about whether or not we think Evan Neal will be available at 6 here in a bit, but just sort of looking, it's hard to look at stats for a tackle and offensive lineman, really. But like Jerry said, he only gave up 4 sacks in 3 years. He started 13 games as a freshman, and I think he made the All-American team as a freshman.
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't believe missed a start in all 3 seasons. I think he played every game. May have missed one in 2020, but I think he played every game. And as you said, he's versatile, right? He's played guard, he's played right tackle, he's played left tackle. Matt Rhule's going to love that. He loves the versatility. And he's massive. He's 6'7", 350. He is huge.
Yes. This man is
oh my God.
A huge human being. Yes.
Yeah. He could stand next to Cam and make Cam look small.
And that's saying something when Cam used to stand next to linebackers and linebackers would be looking straight at him. Like, oh man. Just a massive.
He is a massive human being. When you look at some of his stats, like 2021 at left tackle, he gave up 2 sacks, 5 QB hits, and 8 hurries, and that's in 15 games.
At left tackle in the SEC, because SEC is defensive. Wow. Now,
I mean that's amazing, and he's playing Georgia twice. He's playing, all these top teams, and and the SEC, like you said, the SEC is as close to the NFL as you get in college. I mean, that's where your blue bloods are. That's where the highest recruits go to. That's where, most of the draft, top several rounds of the draft come from. There are the SEC teams. So he's got a lot of experience going up against other highly touted defensive prospects.
And you mentioned highly touted, tackles. He played right tackle last year because Alex Leather was on the left side, and he was a 1st or 2nd round pick. I can't remember where exactly he
was a 1st round pick.
So, I mean, you got to think, he didn't start at that left tackle position last year, but, I mean, you got to see who was on the other side already entrenched there. I mean, and he still did great.
I think Leatherwood, I know he finished the year starting for the Raiders at left tackle. I don't know if he started the year at left tackle, but Leatherwood was a contributor on that team. So in the NFL. So, And this guy is considered to be better than Leatherwood,
So
at that point. So let's look at some pros and cons. We'll start off with the pros. Kind of already said one is he's massive. He is huge. He's produced at a high level against the top competition, as we mentioned. Versatile, better on the left than the right, which is what you want from a left tackle, obviously.
Well, especially for drafting a guy this high, we already had the right tackle.
Exactly.
But, I mean, just impressive. I was going to say, if you needed to, you could swing him back, but I don't see why.
Yeah, it's sort of like the question with Moten, right? Like, he's so good at the right. You move him to the left, and he's not as good, right? I mean, he's okay, but he's not as good. So you got a guy that it seems, from what we've read and watched tape on Evan Neal, that he's more natural at the left side.
Yeah.
Which to me means he's only going to get better because he's only got that 1 year of experience, in college. And we'll talk about some of the things that he needs to get better at in a second here, but he's extremely explosive for his side. He's got good movement, good agility. He's really strong. He's able to move people around. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. And he can dominate in the run game. He is such a good run blocker. And honestly, Matt Rhule, again, should be salivating at the possibility of getting this guy.
Absolutely. This is Matt Rhule's wet dream. I mean, for a tackle. I mean, he is huge. He's like the sizes of a sedan on the left side over there. With all that said, we do have to go over his cons just because that's what we do.
It's on the sheet. We have to talk about it.
he needs to work on some of his technique, which, again, 1 year starting at left tackle, 1 year at the right tackle, just needs to work on it. He can struggle if he misses that first move on the defensive ends. Again, it's something you could work on, and it's not. Right. And again, he gave up 4 sacks in his college career. We're not. And he could struggle against some speed rushers in the NFL, the top end speed rushers. He's fast and agile, but if he misses that first guy, that first move, can he recover on those speed rushers? Because the Brian Burnses, the Hassan Reddicks, those guys are fast and they can speed around a guy that big, even though he is fast and agile. And here's my biggest question mark. All that other stuff I think he'll be fine at, to be honest with you. But he's had weight issues. Ever since high school, he struggled to keep the weight down. And someone in his position, that size of frame, I could easily see how it would be easy to gain too much weight, especially after getting signed, entrenched. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like you don't hear about that as much anymore, especially the top picks, coming in. And it's kind of funny that this guy's 350. and we're saying he's struggling to keep his weight down.
Well, he played at 390
he's 6'7".
He played at 390 in high school. And that's
so he got his weight down in college, which is good. Right? That's a good sign. He was obviously playing well enough at high school at 390 to be, one of the top recruits in the country. So I think he could probably play a little bigger than 350, but he's going to be in the NFL. It's his job. His job is to stay in shape.
Yeah.
And again, we've seen guys on the Panthers that can't do that.
Kelvin Benjamin.
But, so we'll see. A couple other cons that I have noticed about him is, and it sort of maybe goes along with some of his struggles against faster guys, is he relies a lot on his strength. Yeah. And it's just his natural athleticism and talent. That you mentioned his technique. I think he just needs to get a little better kind of balance, right? His lateral movement leaves you a little wanting, but just kind of getting almost too strong against a fast guy, and he just kind of throws himself off balance. Now, it doesn't happen a ton, but like you said, in the NFL, everybody that you're going against is going to be better than the top tier talent that you faced in college, for the most part. So that's something that he'll have to work on. But again, he's coming out of college. He's got all the tools. He's got all the size that you would ever want, all the things that you can't teach, he's got. You can teach the other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing I did kind of see is that some people say that with his so massive size of being 6'7", 350, that short passes his direction may get interfered with because of his size. Like that.
Like his orbit, the gravity that he...
Well, I mean, granted, you can't have a short quarterback with him, to be honest with you. You can't have that 5'11", 6-foot guy because you can't do that quick slant to, DJ Moore or Robbie Anderson on that side with, a 6'7" guy and a shorter guy behind him.
Well, luckily Sam Darnold's like 6'4", so I think we're going to be okay. Thank God for Sam Darnold. We're going to be okay.
Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah. So we last year we had, a standard set of 4 or 5 questions that we kind of ask about each player, right? We're going to do that again this year. The first one I think is sort of a laughable question for any of these tackles, but does this player fit the current roster?
Absolutely.
God, yes.
The only way is
he would improve this team immeasurably, immediately.
And then you could just put Christensen at left guard and then just, move on from there. That's the left side taken care of, hopefully, for the future.
You could. Yeah, you could. He's exactly what the team needs. And again, like you said, there are other guys we're going to talk about here that can play left tackle. The kid out of NC State that I know his name, but I can't pronounce it. Something like that.
Akeem something.
Yeah. He and Neal are sort of going back and forth as who's the number one OT to take. I looked at a ton of mock drafts. I only saw 3 or 4 where Neal got to us. And the latest I saw him go once to 10th. But that was the latest I saw him go. Everybody else was the Panthers or higher. So he certainly won't fall past us. But Jerry, do you think he will get to us?
I do not. I think he's going to go top 3. I think that
he could
size,
go number 1.
Yeah. No. That's why I said top 3. I don't see him really falling that far. I mean, you never know. It depends on scouting combine. He could show up, out of shape or something like that, and he could easily drop
380. Yeah.
But that being said,
could have a gas mask on his face, during the draft.
Yeah. I mean, you never know.
We've seen it happen before.
Well, that was a picture leaked, and he turned out to be a solid left tackle. So there you go.
I would take him. Yeah, I'd take him right now. Yeah.
But do I think he falls to 6? No, I don't. I think his size and agility, some team is going to jump up and grab him quick, just because that is just something that doesn't happen very often in human nature.
Yeah. I mean, most teams are going to be picking in the top 5. Probably don't have a very good offensive line.
Yeah.
Honestly. And when you have a guy like this who, by all accounts, is can't miss, one of the few can't miss players in this draft, because all the quarterbacks have questions. Big questions. You've got a couple of offensive tackles. You've got a couple of edge rushers and a safety, really, that are kind of all being looked at in top 5. And this is one of the guys. So I think he could fall to 6 under the perfect circumstance. And that would include someone trading into the top 5 to grab a quarterback. I think that's one of the only ways he could fall to 6. But if I had to put money on it, I'd say no. I think I agree with you. I think he goes in the top 3. And I think there's a real chance that he is taken number 1 overall by Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, they had that franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. I mean, if you don't believe in Cam Robinson or that he's a free agent, I believe, and they don't re-sign him, get a stalwart there to protect him. Yeah. It makes sense. Now, would you be excited for Evan Neal to be drafted by the Panthers? I think this is
No, I wouldn't. What's better than excited? Because that's what I would be. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've talked about it. It would be, again, a massive game changer for the Panthers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, you're going from no talent on the left side, Cam Irving, you're no talent, and
Yeah.
you're going to somebody who could become the left tackle, the premier left tackle over and over again year after year. And I think he has that potential.
And, for all the Brady Christensen lovers out there, we hear you. Brady Christensen, I think, could be an average left tackle in the league. This guy could be a premier, like Jerry said, a premier left tackle in the league. He could be one of the top 2 or 3 in the league. And it's not going to take him 10 years to get there. Like, he could be there year 2, year 3.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a starter day 1. So no offense to Brady Christensen. We're not saying that you're no talent. We're just saying that you're not as talented as this guy.
Yeah.
It's your short arms, man. It grows some long arms. What are you doing?
Come on, T-Rex. I mean, it would have been nice if, Brady Christensen actually got better looked at last year at left tackle, which they should have done. But with that being
they
said,
should have. Because when he started, he, his grades were good. He looked good.
Mm-hmm.
He made some big mistakes here and there, but again, he's a rookie and he didn't get that much playing time. So.
Yeah, I just don't think you could pass on an Evan Neal in this position that the Panthers are in. And you could, like I said, you could put Christensen at guard, which this coaching staff believe he's more suited for anyways. So.
Yep. Yeah. Although he played better at tackle. So, that's something I think you think about is if Brady Christensen is your guy, if you're going to go with Brady Christensen at left tackle, then it does open up some possibilities for you in this draft, right?
Absolutely.
Either that or you go free agent for left tackle. There's some good ones that are going to be available. So, what would you prefer to do? Would you rather go after a premier free agent in free agency,
mm-hmm.
or go with Brady Christensen at left tackle, or draft Evan Neal? If you could choose. And let's say you get one of the top 2 free agent left tackles for $20 million a year.
Okay, here's my thinking. If we're drafting 6 and we take Neal, it's great. But we have so many issues that I think dropping back, gaining more picks in the top 100 would be more beneficial. So I would opt to do that. Keep Brady Christensen. Then you go out. I don't think you sign a left tackle for $20 million with the needs we have. I think you could maybe find a middle tier left tackle that can compete with Brady Christensen on the left side. And then kind of go from there on how the draft falls to you if you fall back and get enough picks.
So for me, the only way I think that I would not want to draft Neal or one of these other 2 guys we're going to be talking about at 6 would be if we got the $15 to $20 million a year left tackle.
Taron Armstead.
The Armstead, the Orlando Brown, one of those guys that, is established. You're getting a top tier starter.
No,
that would be the only way I think that I would, because we've seen how bad it is not to have one of those guys.
Well, here's my thing too: is when you save $20 million a year, we only have $20 million in cap space. So then at that point,
for now, I mean, they'll increase that. They always do.
Yeah,
right.
But then you got to think about we're going to be losing the Hassan Rex, Stephon Gilmore, Dante Jackson. The premier guys that we really need to keep around.
Well, that's going to happen anyway.
Regardless we're not going to keep everybody
or not. Right.
But my thinking is I'd prefer to see what Christensen has, get a solid backup that can stay healthy and compete on the left side, get another guard or so, and try to get some more draft capital to draft some of these younger guys. And I think if you drop back to 14, the Cross kid, someone like that's may fall, and you may be able to get a really talented guy too there.
Yeah. I don't know that Cross falls all the way there, but I think you could get the center. Is it Lindenbaum or whatever his name is?
Linderbaum.
Yeah, he could be there in the middle teens, which, again, that's a big need because Paradis isn't going to be here anymore. Yeah. You're going to be relying on Elflein if you don't address the center position in the offseason. So, did we see enough from Elflein at center that we think he's going to be fine moving forward? Because I didn't.
No. Oh, God, no. You know my thoughts on Elflein. It was
I know. Your thoughts from day one when they signed him. And you did not change, except maybe you hated him even more. So, yes, I agree.
Let's get the worst graded passing guard in the league, day one of free agency, and pay him multi-million dollars. What?
Oh, jeez.
All right.
All right, Jerry. This is the first draft profile we've done this year. So we've got our big board. Okay. Every profile we do, we're going to rank these guys on, the MeowMix big board. Where did these guys rank in terms of where we as Panthers fans would want them? So Evan Neal, obviously going to go at the top of the big board today. He's the one and only player on there so far. Just to give you guys a little bit of history, last year we had Micah Parsons at number 1 for a long time on the big board.
Very long.
Until we signed Perriman, and we decided to drop Micah down because we thought Perriman was going to be the middle linebacker for the next couple of years. Obviously, that didn't work out. though Perriman had a great year, just not for the Panthers. So, do you know who we ended up with as number 1? It was probably Penei Sewell, right?
I believe it was Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
It was Penei Sewell
was 1.
Justin Fields was my 2. I think you liked Zach Wilson more. God.
And we had Slater.
I think I found it in our
pack.
I thought I found it one time, but I guess I can't.
All right, somebody go back and listen to all of our draft profiles and let us know.
Or just the last one.
Yeah, I know Fields was up there. I know Sewell was either 1 or 2. And we had the cornerbacks.
Surtain was the highest, I believe.
I think he was 4 or 5. So, yeah, I think we hit it last year. I mean, I think everybody that was high on our list had really good seasons. So,
I actually found it.
Fields, Fields didn't have a great season, but
no. But no, I didn't find it. Oh well. Anyways, sorry about that, guys. And I will have a graphic up with all the players and stuff like that on the YouTube channel. But if you have any names that you want to suggest, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com, or you could just, drop a YouTube comment, DM us on Twitter at meowmixpodcast. So there you go. And
there are so many ways to talk to us.
If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show. And that's where I'm sitting at. Sorry. I kind of messed up our ending.
Jerry has ended his part of the closure, and now I will begin my part of the closure and say we will be back next week with our second draft profile. Who will it be?
Oh,
who will
sorry,
it be?
I was doing other things in the background. We don't know yet. Honestly,
we don't know. We don't know who it'll be.
We'll probably do another Twitter poll. We've got a lot of players, though.
Maybe we'll switch it up a little bit and not do offensive line again. We might switch it up a bit, but you guys will know when it comes out next week. And until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.